last part of the baking paleo bread video. Now we have waited an hour and the dough has risen. You can see it's not going to be like regular bread. It isn't going to overflow. You don't have to do all the punching down and everything else, but it has risen a little bit. And so now at this point, you can, give it a little bit of a, just give it a push, a little bit, and now break it in half and form it into two nice little round boules, because this is crusty boule is what we're making. So two little round 4-inch boules, or you can leave it as one and bake one large one. You can double this recipe with really great success. It doubles beautifully, and you can shape it into two larger boules and eat one, freeze one. And then what I've been doing is eat one, freeze one, eat one, freeze one, so that I end up with some in the freezer and I don't have to bake as often. And if you don't eat bread daily, it'll keep a long time. This bread will keep beautifully in the fridge. You do have to keep it in the fridge, wrapped close, but it keeps beautifully. It toasts like a dream. It is great just in sandwiches, not toasted. I found a lot of gluten-free breads had to be toasted or they really tasted awful, but this one is not like that. You can eat it. It does have a texture of a rye bread, one of those dense rye breads. So then you just make like a tic-tac-toe pattern on the top with a knife. That's just the typical traditional boule tic-tac-toe pattern. And I like to use an egg wash. You don't have to. It's just one egg yolk with a teaspoon of water. Mix it all together and then just brush it on. It just gives a nice texture to and a nice crust on the top. But again, this is completely optional. You don't have to do it if you're egg free or vegan or something of that nature. So there we go. Just brushing on the egg. And now I'm baking it in a cast iron pan because that's what I have. You don't have to bake it on a cast iron pan. You can bake it on a baking sheet. I would recommend the use of parchment paper underneath it. It just makes it easy to slide on and off. And you're going to bake it now at this size. These size rolls will bake for about 35 to 40 minutes. A larger roll like this one here will probably bake from 40 to 45 minutes. The key to everything is that you want to make sure you have an interior temperature at the end of 205 to 210 degrees. When you take it out of the oven after the timer goes off, make sure you put this into it. There's the little hole that I made when I was testing, and make sure that goes in all the way right through. My bread is frozen at the moment, and when it registers 205 degrees, then you know you're right. Then you know it's done. Until it does that, put it back in the oven, okay? You may have to muck around with the temperature. The recommended temperature is 425 degrees. My oven here is really, really small. So 425 degrees was too hot. It burned the bread on the bottom. So, not burned it, but it got too dark for our taste. So I lowered the temperature down to 400 degrees, and I found that 400 degrees worked perfectly in a very small oven. Again, if you have a large oven, 425 may be just fine. Okay, so you may have to muck with that just a little bit, but the results are going to be beautiful and tasty. This is the finished loaf. This one was is still frozen. I took it out to show to you what the finished loaf looks like with a nice cross pattern on it. And this one, this size, when you slice them, they're very nice. It's a very nice size for making sandwiches and things like that out of. Calorie-wise, if you were to get 16 slices out of a loaf like this, each one would have about 90 calories. Okay, so that's a rough estimate, and 90 calories well spent. It's low glycemic. You are getting, because of the almond flour and the coconut flour, you're getting low glycemic index on it, and it's really good. It's worth the work. And once you've done it a couple of times, it just becomes rote, and it's not hard. It's not a hard bread to make at all. And that's about it. Enjoy! And I'll see you again next time if I do something amazing with paleo. Bye.